We are back. England 1, Croatia 0. Instant match reaction. Let's go. So I think what I'm going to do after every single England game is I'm going to give an instant match reaction. It might not be fully instant. It might be the next day, for example. But, you're going to get a match reaction either way. I think I'm also going to do a game week reaction. So after the first match of every single Euros game, I'm going to just do a general roundup, then the second match, then the third match. And just go on from there, really, just so I can get some Euros content in there because I really enjoy the Euros and it's going to be really fun to watch. I am actually going to aim to watch all the games. There are going to be some games that are going to be on at the same time, which is going to be a little bit ropey, but I'm still going to try and watch as many games as possible. But yeah, anyway, back to the England game. England 1, Croatia 0, and it was an interesting game. So the game started off within the first 15 minutes, and I would say that England looked really, really bright. I mean, you had Phil Foden, who was bossing the game, and he hit the post as well, which was really, really close. You had Raheem Sterling, who was making some really good runs in behind. Bit of criticism for him that he maybe didn't finish any of those chances. He didn't maybe lay the ball off to Harry Kane. But you can't really criticise Raheem Sterling for that. He was making the right runs, and that's all you can ask for. Harry Kane was quite quiet within that first 15 minutes, and he was actually quiet throughout the whole match. But he did start to drop deep and try and dictate a bit more play during the second half of the first half. And the game at that point did start to get a little bit slower. I found myself, I wouldn't say bored, but it wasn't an engrossing game like it was within the first 15 minutes. And we weren't really creating a lot of chances and the ball wasn't actually sticking. We were misplacing a few passes as well. Kyle Walker on that right hand side was misplacing a few and it was kind of winding me up a little bit. But in the second half he was a lot better. So yeah, the first half came to an end, 0-0. It was an okay first half, but it did sort of peter out. Maybe the heat had something to do with that because it was sweltering at Wembley. But yeah, the boys came out in the second half and we managed to grab a goal. The ball was thrown in. Calvin Phillips avoids a challenge, dinks past a player, lays a really nice ball in for Raheem Sterling, who finishes it off relatively nicely. It was a bit of a scruffy goal, a bit of a scruffy finish, but he scored, and that's what you can ask for. And yeah, then after that, Croatia didn't really create anything. England were really nice and compact. Brought on Jude Bellingham, which was good. I thought he looked really good. But Croatia didn't really have a sniff. And England saw out the 1-0 victory, as we should. I'm going to go through the players from the goalie up to the striker. And I'm just going to give my views on them and give my views on the lineup in general. So we started off in goal, Jordan Pickford, as expected. I thought he had a really good game, actually. What was asked of him, he did really well. He claimed the ball well, which is something I see him not do particularly well for Everton at times, and his positioning and his distribution was for the most part good. There was a few times where he kicked it long to Sterling, which I thought, why kick it to Sterling? He's the shortest player in our attack. And there's a few times where he did actually kick it out. It went out for a throw-in, but I think he was under pressure for those times, so I can let him off for that. But he was good in the general scheme of things. There was a moment where Kieran Trippier headed the ball back to him, and there was a Croatian attacker right on his tails, but thankfully, thanks to Pickford's really good positioning, we avoided any sort of danger. So you've got to give props to Pickford where props are due, because sometimes Pickford does get a lot of hate. And I've been one of those people that have criticised him in the past, just because I've said that I didn't really want him to start for England, but I hold my hands up. He played well, so that's what we want to see. The interesting decision for me came with the fullbacks. Gareth decided to start Walker at right back and Trippier at left back. Now, I would have started an actual left back at left back like Luke Shaw or Ben Chilwell. So it was a bit of a weird one to see Trippier start, and a lot of people were questioning that. And I think when you look at how they played, I think people were justified with questioning that. Walker at right back, as I said earlier, he was misplacing a lot of passes in the first half. Not as bad in the second half. But I think that in terms of fullbacks, I think we needed a nice left footer on that left-hand side. Or we just needed a general left back like Luke Shaw or Ben Chilwell. And I would have probably put Trippier on the right instead of Walker, because Walker didn't actually have a very good game. So going into the next game, that's maybe what I would think about if I was Southgate personally. As for the two centre-backs, Stones and Mings, good game. Didn't really have a lot to do, but whatever they had to deal with, they dealt with really well. I thought they were dominant in the air. They were relatively good on the ball. A little bit of a scare here or there when Tyrone Mings got the ball from me personally, but he was good. On to midfield now, and the man of the match for me, Calvin Phillips, the Leeds man. What a performance. He had 93.9% pass accuracy, and he had 3 out of 3 long balls achieved. He created one big chance, and that big chance was the goal. It was the assist, and what an assist it was. Alongside him, Declan Rice. Didn't really see much of him in the game, but that's quite good. You don't want your defensive midfielder dictating the play too much. You don't want him having to get us stuck in as he would have to if he were under the cosh a bit, if you know what I mean. Just in front of them, Mason Mount, what a performance. An understated performance if you ask me. I thought he was brilliant. Every time he received the ball with his back to goal, really, really nice turn, ready for an attack. Really nice play with Sterling on that left-hand side in the first half. And yeah, I thought it was really good, and I definitely want to see him starting in the next match. Up top, we started with Phil Foden on the right-hand side, Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side, and Harry Kane down the middle. Foden and Sterling like to switch here and there, I noticed, but both played really well, I thought, especially Sterling. I mean, again, a player that's coming for a lot of criticism and a lot of questioning when the lineup was announced. Me included, I was a bit sceptical considering his club form in comparison to players like Grealish and Sancho, who've been really good for their club. But he proved everyone wrong. He got the goal, the boy from Brent, as he said, in his backyard. That's what we want to see. Brilliant. And that comes just a few days after he received an MBE, so what a week it's been for Sterling. Congratulations to him. Phil Foden on that right-hand side started off really well. Petered out a little bit, but you can forgive him. There was a few times when the ball was lobbed over to him and he just touched it down like it was nothing, which I thought, wow, what a player we've got. And I definitely want to see him starting again. Through the middle, Harry Kane didn't really get involved in the game. Wasn't his best game, I think he'll admit that to you. He seemed a little bit off it, if you ask me. There was a few times where he could have been a bit sharper to some 50-50s. Maybe he's carrying a bit of a fitness issue, we don't know that. But it was a little bit concerning for me to see, but maybe that's just me overreacting. It was very hot as well, so maybe he's just needed a game to ease into it. I mean, we've seen him at Tottenham in the past where there's that joke going around that he never scored in August. Maybe he just needs a bit of time to warm up before he gets really into his groove, and let's hope for England's sake that that's true. But yeah, coming up, Scotland on the Friday. What a game that's going to be. That is going to be electric. I mean, down the pubs, whether you're in England or in Scotland, it's going to be rammed. It's going to be crazy. And I, for one, am so excited for it. In terms of changes that I'd make going into that game, if you'd asked me before the game, I would have wanted Grealish instead of Sterling. But I think Sterling's actually justified starting in the game against Scotland because, wow, he put in a really good performance and you can't deprive him of another performance like that, can you? What I would do is I would definitely switch up the fullbacks. I don't want Trippier on the left and Walker on the right again. I would like to see Luke Shaw on that left-hand side, failing that Ben Chilwell. And I would actually like to see Reece James at right back because I really rate Reece James. But if he was to start Trippier, I wouldn't begrudge him. Walker didn't have a great game, so I would actually rather Trippier play instead of Walker going into the Scotland game. But yeah, again, it is dependent on fitness. But yeah, that is my instant match reaction. Let me know what you thought of the match down in the comments below. Leave a like on the video if you haven't already. And please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, see you soon.